I told you we're going mainstream. Welcome to the Mouthpiece, episode 21, year 1, part 1. Today, we're going to talk about my week in poker, as well as an exclusive first-hand listen of an interview with accused cheater Mike Postle, along with your phone calls here on the Mouthpiece. Okay, everyone, how's it going? This is kind of going to be a special edition of the Mouthpiece. Originally, I was going to have Vince Van Patten on this week. We did an amazing interview about his movie that just came out. But unfortunately, he will be on next week's podcast, because with all the craziness that came out of this Mike Postel cheating scandal, yours truly decided that he was going to go out of his way and got an exclusive interview with him. It's really kind of a fascinating interview in which I know a lot of you out there might get on me for not pressing the case against him, but that's not my job. My job here on the Mouthpiece is to interview people, to listen to their side of the story, and that's what I did. I have been on Twitter saying that you are innocent until proven guilty. And the main reason why I was taking that point of view is because I knew that I have this exclusive interview with him. And I want to remain neutral because I haven't seen any of the footage except for a couple hands. So I'm not out there to persecute him on the hands that everybody is accusing him of he has to be cheating of. My job is to interview him. So what you guys are going to get is a interview where you guys make up your mind of what he says. If you think he's telling the truth, if you think he's lying, that's my job. If I get heat for not riding him hard enough, well, you know, I don't know the facts. I don't know the facts that Joey Ingram knows. I don't know the facts of whatever Doug knows. I don't know the facts of anything. So my job was to stay neutral and listen to his interview and what he had to say. So that interview is going to be coming up here in a few moments. With that said, okay, we're going to talk about my week of poker. Wow, what an interesting week it's been. Started out on Tuesday playing Poker After Dark, playing 400, 800 mix. I let Phil Humuth have half of me in the game because all I do is make this guy money because that's what I do. And it was pretty disappointing winning only 200 on the first session. I made one pretty bad mistake, and anybody who watched the stream was able to hear me repeat myself over and over and over what I did wrong, and which was not moving in the PLO hand with the king 10 with the royal flush draw, just move it on the flop. And there was 54. I lose 1,100 in the pot instead of win 5,400. And other than that, I think I played fantastic. There was one questionable hand that me and Brian Rass talked about after, where it ended up I was getting actually 33% equity three-way action. So the call that a lot of people questioned really wasn't. I really wasn't that upset with the call with the 5, 6, 8, 9. There was a raise under the gun and a call, and then I call, and then a pot, and then a repot. And I was sure that Google's behind me had aces, and when I know Anthony would probably not repot kings, so there's, in my mind, he also could have aces or big cards, and because it was a raise under the gun and a call, I thought the middle cards were pretty live, so I was wrong, and we ran it twice and I lost, but I was not upset with myself on that. On just the one hand I played, and I made some really amazing laydowns for 800 on the river in like $15,000 pots, and people are like, "How can you fold that for 800?" I'm like, "The pot's laying you 10-1. Doyle bet me $100. I gave him 1,000 to 100. That I was beat, and of course." He asked Anthony. Of course, I was beat. And the thing is what's always made me a great in mixed game player is, and it's the trait, if you ever are a big mixed game player, is you got to get the extra 800 when you can, and you got to save the extra 800. And that's where it's all at. And pot odds mean nothing. I've always said this. If you're 100% sure, you're beat. If you're 90% sure and the pot's laying you 10-1, I probably call. But I was 100% sure on all my laydowns, and anybody who was watching the stream, I counted it up. I was up to like 9,200 in saved folds. So I was playing really well. I was happy with day one. Only winning 200 sucked. Going into day two, I started off winning 2 big triple draw pots. Got out in front about 8,000 quick. And Doyle put the whammy on me, and next thing you know, I was even. Then I won a I won a cap and some more pots, and the next thing you know, I was like 21,000 winner with a couple hours to go, and I was feeling pretty good. And then I went the last like hour and a half without winning a pot, including losing a massive Badoogie pot late in the night, and I ended up winning 7,300 for the session. 7,500 for 2 days is not so bad. I mean, for the size of the game, it kind of sucked, but it's better than losing, and I can't complain. I then went over after the game ended on the stream. We started the game up over at the Aria in their game, and I did real well in that game, even though we dropped the stakes to 3,600 when we moved over there, but I ran well, did well, and I had a good week, and overcame my mistakes that I made last week, and I'm just going to make sure I don't make those mistakes again. So that was my week in poker. We have football coming up. I have not really made my picks. I was going to be doing that all tonight, but then this whole Mike Postel story broke and kind of went mainstream. And with me being able to get an exclusive interview with him, it kind of topped all of everything else that I was going to do. So I'm not going to go over all my picks, but I am going to give you my pick of the week. My pick of the week this week, the can't miss pick of the week. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Brought to you by MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag and put in the promo code Mouthpiece for a 200% deposit bonus. Lots of table games there. Lots of other things you want to gamble with. There's in-game betting. There's prop betting, whatever you want. mybookie.ag. So Pittsburgh's at home getting 3.5 from Baltimore. Are they fucking crazy? I think this Baltimore team sucks shit. All right, there you go. That's going to be my pick of the week. I'm taking the 3.5 with Pittsburgh at home. We are 1-3 so far on my pick of the week after starting off 1-0. That's not good. And we should be 2-2. We really got unlucky. The 1 week last week was kind of a disaster, but I don't think much of Baltimore. I mean, they beat up the 2 worst teams in the league, Miami and Arizona. I know they covered against Kansas City, but they were blown out of that game. They got fucking blown out last week by Cleveland, and they're getting the Pittsburgh. They play 3-point games all the time, and I think Pittsburgh's a better team, anyways. So there's my pick of the week. We're not going to get too much into the football and the baseball. Hopefully you listened to last week's episode with Oral Hershiser. We talked about the baseball playoffs. My Dodgers won today, so I'm pretty happy about that. It's good to get out in front 1-0 in that series because Washington really scares me a lot. So up next is our phone call segment, and then our exclusive interview with Mike Postel. Stay tuned on the Mouthpiece.
The Mouthpiece.
If you'd like to take part in our phone call segment, you can give us a call at 702-329-0480. And if you're a snowflake or a pussy and you don't want to talk to me, you can email me at mouthpiecepodcast@gmail.com. Also, follow me at the Mouth Matusow on Twitter for times that our call-in segment will be live. Okay, this is our favorite time of the show, our phone call segments. Let's see what our listeners have to say today. Let's light up the lines. Yo, welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike. What's going on, man?
How's it going, Mike?
Who's this?
This is Frank from Chicago.
Hey, Frank. How's it going, buddy?
Not too bad. I was calling. I wanted to ask, with this whole cheating thing going on,
Yep.
I was wondering, in all your years of playing, have you ever been at a game where maybe you thought 2 guys were running a tag team on the table?
I've been cheated many times, especially in a head-up match where a guy who I'd been friends with for a while, who set me up with the match, was giving him signals from behind me, and I lost like $31,000. So, then Archie Karras, I got cheated with the same guy for another $30,000. That was really the only time. Now, with that said, I am good friends with a person who Mike Postel is one of his best friends, and we've been in contact, and I've even been instant messaging with him this evening with Mike and my friend, and he is adamant that he's innocent and he's going to prove his innocence, and that they only have like 20% of the feed, and they're just going with their own narrative that they're making up. So, like I say, in this country, we seem to forget you're innocent until proven guilty, not guilty by what Doug Polk and Joey Ingram say. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to be like everybody else. I'm going to let him have his word and his explanations. And also, the casino is also doing a private investigation with law enforcement right now to dive deep into this. So I think that with law enforcement looking into it, they are going to come up with a much better conclusion than just random poker players just selecting certain hands. That's all.
All right. One other question. Did you see the one hand where he called the other guy 6'4"? Now, I might call him a cheater. He must be the best reader I've ever seen, because to call 2 cards like that before he flipped them over, that was kind of weird.
Well, also the feed at this, from what I've heard, at this place has some kind of lag where it doesn't link up. In other words, his hands were already turned over before he had said that, and
right.
There's ways that he says he could prove that. So that's what he said. With that said, that's all I could go by on that. I at first, when I was looking only about 3 hours worth of tape, I didn't really find that much that was out of line. I didn't go through like a lot more like other people did. I did look at the hat situation where that looks pretty damning. And he told me, like he wants to come on the podcast and he'll show the hat. You could see there's no rip stitching and it's just and whatever it is what it is. The thing is the evidence, the things against it. It doesn't look good, but you know what? You have to just. I'm sick of everybody texting me saying, "He's guilty, Mike. He's guilty." That's it. That's mob mentality. That's mob mentality. That's what they do with Trump. You know what I'm saying? It's like the mainstream media. They says, "Oh, Trump did this." Oh, so then it's automatic proof. You know what I mean? So listen, let's all wait till the facts are in. Let's wait till the investigations are done. Let's wait to hear what he has to say. And I'm willing to give somebody the benefit of the doubt until and that's it. Like I told him when I was talking today, it's like, unfortunately, in the new age we live in, you're guilty and you have to prove you're innocent instead of the law of you're innocent until proven guilty. So, he says he's going to come on my show and prove his innocence. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt till that happens. I think that's the fairest thing to do. Yep.
I appreciate you taking my call.
You got it, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What's up, man? Welcome to Mouthpiece. Who's this?
Brian from South Florida.
Brian from South Florida. What's up, buddy?
I know you're running out of time. I got a quick question. If it's been addressed, I apologize, but it's kind of a two-part question.
Go ahead.
First is what impact do you think this has on poker beyond live stream games for people that feel like that they've been cheated in some regard? And two, do we think this is the only person with this kind of technology out there?
That's a good question. First of all, this has been definitely the topic of this week of my call-in segments, and with that said, one of my good friends is very good friends with the accused, and I talked to them in three-way messaging tonight, and he says he's got evidence to clear his name and that this is a made-up witch hunt conspiracy by like 20% of the videos that they gone through, and that he could prove different. So with that said, like I've told the other people who called in, I give people the benefit of the doubt until proven guilty. I know it doesn't look good.
I agree.
And a lot of things don't look good, and I brought that up to him today, when we were messaging. I mean, this shit's going mainstream, and once it goes mainstream and you're convicted, nowadays you're convicted in the court of public opinion no matter what you say. So, I told him that.
You heard this? Going to be doing a story on this live on SportsCenter tonight?
Are they really?
Scott Van Pelt, the one big thing live tonight, so it's going to be airing by the end of the hour. It'll be the last thing covered. Is a poker mystery.
Wow. See, that's really bad. See, that's the thing. That's why I wanted him to get on my podcast tonight and fucking clear his name, because once it goes mainstream, it doesn't make a difference if he can prove his innocence.
No.
It's going to be he's guilty. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, that's it. That's it, Mike. This is as mainstream as it gets.
Right. Think about it. Okay. For 2.5 years, we were fed Russia collusion, and even after Mueller said there's no proof that he even had any contact with any Russians, 60% of the Democrats still believe he colluded with Russia. See what I'm trying to say? Once you're convicted in the court of public opinion, you're convicted. And this is why I tried to tell him to get on my podcast tonight and beat it, because I know it went mainstream at Barstool Sports, and I wanted him to come on and try and beat it before it went mainstream, because he swears it to me that he's innocent. The evidence in itself looks pretty damning, but also the people that have put the evidence together are people that do anything they can for clicks and visits to their sites and their Twitter pages, and he says they're making up a false narrative to frame him into something that he didn't do. So I said, well, come on. I mean, show me what they're framing you of, So listen, I'm not going to be like everyone else and say he's guilty, case closed, fuck off, Mike. Okay? That's not how we decide who's innocent and guilty in this country. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah, I understand.
So let's give the guy a chance. And if it ends up that this was done, and when I look at the device on Amazon and I look at his hat on the show and off the show, it sure looks exactly like the same bulge on the side of his hat that it does on the picture on Amazon. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
With that said, it could also be lighting and an angle. It's not total conclusive. You know what I mean? But if they do an investigation, they can also investigate like all his computers, all orders from this company sent to him or the guy that works at this place. They're going to have all records of that. You see what I'm trying to say? So
yeah, the phone history too. Yeah,
right.
The phone history would be big.
So if there's no history from this company of anybody, because first of all, people are not smart enough to have some fourth party buy this device. So if he did buy the device, it will be under his name or under the guy who they claim is in cahoots with him, working with him at the show. So let's just wait, But if it ends up being true, what kind of an impact was your question? I think it's going to have a horrible impact on poker.
Well, the people forget the cameras, the people that play 1-3 that feel like 2 or 3 guys are up against them, or there's under the table tapping, and they've always believed it, and now they're going to have more confidence to accuse people. I guess that was my question.
Right. And that's
he was cheating, so they must be cheating.
Well, yeah. Well, that's just like on this Open Face app that we were playing, and there was proof that it wasn't protected by Barry Greenstein's son. So all of a sudden he says he was being cheated by this person, and I know that person was not cheating him. With that said, the Russians, there was Russians playing big money Chinese that I know were cheating on this one app that cheated a friend of mine out of like $300,000. And so after that, now everybody who lost in Chinese, they're not paying that I must be cheating or they must be cheating. And that's what kind of effect, unfortunately, might happen here because and with that said, there's going to be nobody allowed to wear hats probably on streams anymore, which is really going to suck.
It's going to be like togas only.
Or they're going to have to
beaters only.
Yeah, or they'll have to like a security at the airport, like go through your hat when you put it on.
Man, yeah, that's what's next year at the Rio. We walk through metal detectors as we sit down.
I mean, it's just it's a shame if this ends up being true. It's going to hurt poker. See, once again, people are just quick to rush to judgment without actual proof. I mean, like you just said, they're running a thing on Sports Center. There's no proof that this guy did anything wrong, but they're quick to jump on a story, just like the fake news always does, and it's fine. Wait till there's proof, then run the story. Then run a story. You know what I'm saying? It's not just proof because Doug Polk and Joey Ingram says it's proof. Okay, Doug Polk loves to just say whatever the fuck he wants to say to get clicks on his fucking YouTube station. So, you know, I'm not. Listen,
yeah, he can be controversial. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and he does it on purpose. And I like both of them, and I have nothing against either one. I don't want to say anything bad about either one. I appreciate a lot of things they do for the poker community, but I'm just saying, you know, I'm not going to base the facts on what Doug and Joey Ingram have to say. Okay, let's wait for the facts to come out. That's all.
No, I agree. There was more content from this than, you know, the main event coverage, you know, in the following days. I mean, there was how many hours of this, you know, content that was put out in the last 72 hours? I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, but see, I looked at about 3 hours worth of content, and all 3 hours of it, I would have played the hand the exact same way. Then they tried to show me the one hand where he says you got 4-6 before the cards were turned over, and the guy, when I was messaging with him, said that was the cards were already turned over when he said that there was a glitch in the software there, that 100% that by time when they look back at the timestamps they will see the cards were already turned over when he said, "Oh, you got 4-6, you can't win." Okay. So he says that was doctored or something that they show him that looked like that, and that he has proof that that's not what happened. So listen, this is what he told me tonight. I'm giving the guy the benefit of the doubt until, you know, it's proven otherwise. That's all. I think that's fair. I mean, I just think everybody should just.
No, I do. I don't.
I mean,
I don't know if you want to catch it, Mike, but it's coming back from commercial. It's going to be airing on SportsCenter in the next 2 minutes.
Okay, I want to hear it. All right. Thanks, buddy. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Later. Bye.
The Mouthpiece.
Okay, everybody. So we've got ourselves our first sponsor on this show. Their name is MyBookie, and they're a very reputable company. They have blackjack, craps, roulette. They have all kinds of other casino games, as well as tons of sports betting for all you degenerates out there. So do me a favor. You're listening to the show. Go visit mybookie.ag. Put in the promo code Mouthpiece. That's mybookie.ag. Promo code Mouthpiece. And you get up to a 200% bonus up to $1,000. So you spin, you win, get paid only at MyBookie. Up to $1,000 bonus. That's MyBookie. Enter promo code Mouthpiece. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it, and I appreciate them supporting the show. Okay, welcome to the Mouthpiece. It's time for our exclusive interview with Mr. Mike Postel. Okay, Mike.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you? Long day.
I definitely couldn't be in a bigger mess than I am right now. I've barely ate and haven't slept. And
that's what Tim was telling me. Listen, I just want you to know, dude, I'm not like all these other fucking jack-offs. I'm a real person. I believe in innocent. I'm a little stoned. Innocent before proven guilty. What is it? You got it right. I got it right? Okay. So this is going to be a funny interview because that's why I even had to get stoned for this, because this is too much when this shit went on SportsCenter.
Right?
Right? I mean, are you kidding me? Fucking Russ Hamilton stole $22 million, including $2 million from me. There wasn't shit on fucking SportsCenter, motherfuckers. Right? You're fucking. They're accusing you of all this shit in a small game. And listen, I'm neutral. I fucking want you to basically say what you say the fake news is saying about you, and I think it's only fair that you are allowed to talk without people just ridiculing you. And, that's why I have you on the show. I want you to tell everyone, what they're saying is not right and how you feel about it.
All right. I honestly, like, my head is so bashed in, I don't even know where to begin.
Okay.
All I can say is that, this started with a lot of hatred towards me for, I guess, the whole making me into some reality show star on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Except it was done in a live stream.
Okay.
Everyone's seen the goofy graphics and all the names that have been given to me by others.
Right.
And like I do not like. I don't like positive attention, like compliments. I just get shy. Like, I've never wanted attention or the spotlight or anything like that. Like, except for with my close friends and and having a good time. I'm not trying to make a name for myself. I'm not out trying to, I don't know, pad stats or.
Well, if you were, you'd be playing in much higher games, and you'd be playing big tournaments, and like Tim Burt said to me, he said, "You guys have been friends 15 years." He says, "You've been crushing games for 15 years. Wherever you played, and you always kept a low profile and always never played big, even when you were crushing the games."
I'm of the firm belief that, for the tens of thousands that don't know me, I know there's a couple hundred at least. I don't even know, but I'm sure there's a couple hundred that will vouch for seeing me play or knowing me, watching me, whatever, that can all confirm that in a lot of different parts of the country and a lot of different areas, online and live, I've been a consistent winning player for my entire poker career of that 16 years.
Right.
And on top of that, I play, I say it's a unique style. I don't know. There isn't words to describe what I do. It's creative, diabolical, and predicated on having an MO of, like, I've always tried to be the most unpredictable player at the table, to where literally no one can ever put me on a hand.
That's a
that
good
way
way
when
to be.
I run hot, like my goal when I play, when I'm running extremely well, I want to win as much money as possible. I love to play. I love to play the big pots. I want to do as much crazy stuff as I can, within reason, of course, while still trying to win. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of disregard for.
That makes two of us. Disregard for money.
A major disregard for money. I don't save well. I spend a lot. I buy a lot of drinks. I blow money like crazy. I made a lot of money online back in the day, and I wanted to keep it quiet for a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I had opportunities to, be someone, as far as being a part of, a training site,
Mm-hmm.
Being an online pro,
Mm-hmm.
and I more or less didn't even try to pursue anything, because I was simply content on winning and living, the lifestyle that I'm accustomed to living to.
Of course.
Just remembering where I'm from and just being with the close friends that I have. I don't have to hang out with millionaires and the biggest players. It's not like I'm trying hard to, be part of that or be part of that group or, have a name like that. It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
And, that gets lost with, some of the things that people have been saying are so far off and so far-fetched and all-out lies that it's been mind-boggling to me, and and hearing some of the stuff that's out there as far as if you're so good at poker, why aren't you playing the biggest games in Vegas?
Yeah.
Or
well,
anything like that. Like I live in Sacramento,
right? And on that point too, is I'll side with you on that point because of the fact that, like, even when I was playing on a live stream with Doyle yesterday in a big mix game, and I said a couple people's names I think are the best in the world, and he said, "Well, I don't see them in Bobby's room. If they're the best in the world, why aren't they in Bobby's room?" I'm like, well, there's a lot of people that don't want to just play high as the sky just to prove something. They don't, you don't have to have a big, we all have egos playing poker, but we don't have to go out and play the biggest games to, to prove anything. My whole life, I was a sick fuck. I always wanted to play the bigger games because I just fucking once I got addicted to playing high, no pun intended, because I am fucking high right now. But once I got addicted to playing high, and then I fucking got sick and got broke, I had to learn how to play smaller, and I'm not going to lie, it was really not fun learning how to play smaller. So I could understand, what you're saying there 100%. I don't even know how the story got started. I don't even know how, the gist of, I looked over like an hour of footage that, to me, I didn't see anything wrong with, but then people start, and then so I just put out on Twitter that, I don't see nothing wrong here, and then today everything blew up, and my phone blew up, and my Twitter blew up, and they're like, "Here, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this," and I'm not gonna lie, there is a lot of things that look out of the ordinary, like your win rate, not only that, but like you said, we're going to comment on that. Like you said, what they're saying and the numbers they're putting out is not accurate. Explain to everybody what you mean by that.
Yeah, well, first of all, the number that they gave of me winning, I think it was 250,000, and I don't know, I think that was a year's time. Mm-hmm. Like that couldn't be further from the case. And the reason for that, and this is something that the only people that understand this are people who play on the Stones live stream on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And I guess watch it a lot and are able to pick up on it, which it's actually pretty difficult to do. Like guys like Joey and Doug can watch it and they're not picking up on how the Stones live stream
works. And
why
don't you explain? Can you explain that to everybody? Yeah, explain that. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. For example, we start playing at 5:30.
Okay.
When we start playing at 5:30 or around 5:30, it's usually between 5:30, 5:45 ish. When we start playing, and for example, if it's Veronica's game, which is a 1-3 game, our initial buy-in is $500.
Okay.
And from there, we'll play a little bit crazy and build some stacks, but it's whoever's like counting the chips leading up to the beginning of the stream, which is at 6:00. So the stream officially starts recording.
So it is on a delay, correct? It's on a 30-minute delay.
Yeah, it's on. It's being shown on a 30-minute delay. I think it's 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes. But we play for 15 to 30 minutes before we start streaming.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I guess. Yeah. So we start playing between 5:30 and 5:45. The stream starts recording at 6 o'clock. So they have someone come by, and they're pen and paper, and they're writing down everyone's chip stacks.
Okay.
So someone around it's usually around 5:45, between 5:45 and 5:55. I'm gonna guess.
So you guys gamble a lot the first 20,
memory.
25 minutes to try and build some stacks in the small game, I presume.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we do one bomb pot right away.
Gotcha.
There's some small reloads initially, but again, this is where it gets confusing with the data.
Mm-hmm.
Is they write down everyone's chip stacks before we actually start streaming.
Okay.
They take that, and then those initial stacks, the initial stacks that are shown on the screen are what we have in our stacks between, again, roughly that 5:45 to 5:55 mark.
Gotcha.
What's not being accounted for is pretty much when the stream starts, like, hey, okay, as soon as it's like, guys, cards in the reader, we're going to start playing. That's when the rebuys really start to happen.
Gotcha.
And so there's a lot of cash rebuys. There's a lot of chip add-ons. A lot of us have chips in our pocket, in our backpack, and in whatever. And when it's stream time, it goes from hey, we're just warming up, to hey, all right, it's time to put on a show, like the show's starting.
Gotcha.
And again, play always gets a little more crazier, a little more spewier.
I noticed
everyone plays.
I did notice that looking at some of the footage, you guys seemed like you were having fun and really gambling it up and laughing and all that. So, but that's all I really looked at. But go ahead.
Yeah. Always trying to promote the fun aspect of it as much as possible.
Right.
But anyway, so when these initial chip stacks are shown on the screen when we start,
mm-hmm.
they're the chip stacks that are from the very beginning, where it's a certain amount at the beginning that is going to be significantly smaller than what it's about to be. So when the stream starts and it shows all the chip stacks, those are the chip stacks that are shown before we add on a significant amount of chips more, usually. So we're adding on, and the stream isn't catching up with how much we really have in our stack. And the
so
problem,
it's saying that you're winning a lot more than you are. Is that what you're saying? Because you had already.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain. Yes, I'm going to do my best to explain the process of how the reporting works on the stream.
Okay.
To where the win-loss numbers are literally always off from what they really are.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
I have no idea exactly, because I've literally watched 10 minutes of these videos. In the last few days, I have not, been on social media or really looked at anything.
Well, that's smart.
So I don't.
Be glad
I only know
you haven't done that, because I might have got actually beat up more on social media than you did, because I'm just, listen, I had a lot of people called in my show tonight, and they're all asking about this situation, and I said, just like I'll say to you right now, I said, listen, you're all just if you're gonna just convict somebody based on what Doug Polk or Joey Ingram puts together, That's not how that's not how society works. I'm like, give the guy a chance to speak up, to talk about, like what we're talking about now. I will say I don't want to question anything because I have not seen anything, but some of the people that have texted me, they have said this is where their gripe is you play a certain style, yet every time somebody had a big hand, you played the style differently. And you did it every single time. Now, we were talking earlier that they are grabbing just a handful of hands, you told me, and that they're not really looking at the big sample size that of all the streams that you've been on, that they're just trying to spin their narrative. Explain that to everybody out there.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many hands I've played on the stream, but I'm guessing it's around. I'm guessing it's around 10,000 hands.
Wow, you played on the stream a lot. That's a lot of fucking hands. Man.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's disappointing to have, however many hands there are, that they've been picked apart so much.
Yeah.
And analyzed in every single way possible, except all the ways possible are, okay, how can we say that he cheated in this hand or, knew what was going on? Like, it just seems like all the narratives are pointing to, okay, well, how could he have, done this knowing, what someone else had? There's a lot of desire for, me to be guilty. Mm-hmm. So they're doing, they're doing everything they can to show that. And
they're trying to turn you into the next Russ Hamilton, man.
How does Russ Hamilton, how does Russ Hamilton take 20, 60 million or, whatever it was,
yeah,
and, not make SportsCenter when literally the money that I have won, the money that I've actually won, I mean, Russ Hamilton or whoever, literally took what I actually won from me in 2 sessions online. And
I know,
Russ Hamilton never made SportsCenter. What the hell am I doing?
You're famous now, Mike. You're fucking it's not the right thing to get famous for, but I mean, man. Even when I was on SportsCenter, like in the 2005, when I was trying to defend my Tournament of Champions win, I was like, I don't think I got a prime time after the NFL football game with Scott Van Pelt.
No, hell no.
Oh my God!
I made SportsCenter for winning, roughly half of what they're claiming.
Yeah, for winning 125,000 is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in that neighborhood.
Right.
Like, again, going back to the actual numbers, like, it's really, really hard. It's actually impossible for them to make like a definitive claim or even close to it that the numbers and figures that they're sending out there comparing me to Pot Ripper, for the love of God.
No, they've told me they are five times worse.
It's honestly the most ludicrous comparison probably ever given in poker. As far as the main points, it's absolutely impossible for me to be doing what they're claiming. It is 1,000% impossible. And I know for a fact that Stones, anytime you buy chips from the chip runner, it does track how much money you're actually buying. Things that are missed, that are always missed is the fact that a lot of us have, we have chips on us that we just put onto the table when we want to reload. We are reloading sometimes at a rapid pace. And any of the players in the game will absolutely vouch for the fact that I reload as much as anyone.
Right.
When I play the stream, as long as I'm not extremely tired, or as long as I'm feeling decent, I'm always adding to my chip stack to match that biggest stack. Which
I'm going to ask you just one question, and it's nothing to do with anything if that happened, but why do you think this started, and why were you targeted?
There was so secret hatred for, again, me being made into, I guess you could compare it to a reality show.
Yeah, they were comparing you to Garrett
TV star.
Adelson on Live at the Bike. They were like, he's like the next Garrett Adelson. I heard them say that,
Yeah, Garrett's literally the most amazing player.
He is. He's great.
I've probably ever seen, and that speaks a lot because I've watched a lot of the big names of the years, and I've never seen anything like what Garrett does.
Also you talked about a lot about your poker playing style. Could you describe to the people out there your playing style?
There's no book or anything out there that can explain what I do. Like, again, this is another thing that nobody else can understand except the people who play with me, the locals who play with me on a regular basis, and those who have played with me, going back to my Tunica days.
Right.
Is that I love fun. I love entertainment. I love to drink a little bit. Sometimes for the sake of a story, like a story amongst the guys, like, hey, at the poker game last night, you won't believe what happened. I really live for, those stories. And a lot of these hands that, are being analyzed and scrutinized and manipulated are the fact that, there's a story behind it. The 9-5 hand, right. There was a complete story about that. We literally talked about it at the table.
Tell me a little bit more about it.
Okay, well, as far as that hand, it started with, it was, I want to say a year and a half ago. Jake and Brian, two guys in the game that I know extremely well. Jake had lost the biggest pot that he'd ever lost to Brian when Brian had 9-5 and flopped 2-pair against Jake's queens. And it's a hand that a lot of people saw. I was in Reno, and a buddy of mine was like, "Dude, you have to see this." And I was actually at one of the Run It Up events, and it was like, "Dude, you have to see this, like what Brian just did to Jake." And then other people were talking about it too. And of course, when I get back, everyone, it was a highly talked about hand. But that night we were talking about crazy hands and things of that nature, and it got brought up. That specific hand got brought up.
Gotcha.
And I mentioned, like, it was more or less like winking and laughing, like, don't worry, Jake. I'll get Brian back, for what he did to you. And in my mind, I'm like thinking, like, literally, when I get 9-5, I'm going with it. And we had talked about it. And in this case, I got 9-5, and we talked about it. We talked about it beforehand.
Yeah.
I played the 9-5. It was silly. but because anytime I get something in my head, like I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it no matter how much money it is pre-flop. I'm going to see a flop with a hand that, I have predetermined that I'm going to play regardless.
Listen,
which is why, honestly, I make a lot of terrible calls pre-flop for the sake of, stories and action, and the fact that, like, it is absolutely impossible to put me on a hand. And being the most unpredictable player at the table, in the room, anywhere I play, like, that's always been my MO.
Right.
Anyone saying that they can put me on a hand, they're lying.
Yeah.
And, in that case, it was talked about, and I don't know if, this was in the videos or not, but, Jake gets in the booth, he talks about the 9-5 and, what led up to it and, all that. Like, it was just one of those things where, let me see a flop for as cheap as possible, which that did not work out. And then it got to a point of, well, let's hope I hit something.
Right.
And the other hand that I don't quite get the hatred for is the 5-4 hand. There was a floor at Stones who, whenever he was working, he would come up to me and say, "All right, Mike, here's your hand of the night." And after I won 4 or 5 times in a row with, playing some weird random hand of the night, like, it became a thing where, the first time I get that hand, no matter what happens, I'm seeing a flop with it. And I end up calling, I don't know, I don't remember how much the amount was, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000. I ended up calling pre-flop with the 5-4.
Okay. For how much? For how much?
And we ended up, I don't remember how much it was. It was somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 pre-flop.
That's all?
On a three-way all in.
Oh my God.
I do not remember the action.
Did you win the pot?
Other than the fact that
did you win the pot?
One player, well, I'm anxious to tell this one. I believe one player went all in for around 3,000, and Chris had more than that, but he called the all in, and then I called, if I remember right.
You must have been a pretty big winner at the time, or you wouldn't have called $3,000, right? Or were you just getting?
At the time, I don't remember, but the story behind the 5-4 one was that Chris Moneymaker was in the game, and beforehand, Ben the floor was working, and he's like, well, Moneymaker's playing, so you need to moneymaker with the moneymaker. And
gotcha.
I didn't know. I didn't know at first what he was talking about, and he's like, 5-4, the hand that he won the WSOP with.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, okay, so the hand of the night is 5-4.
Gotcha.
Because Chris was playing.
Okay. Oh, so he was in the game. Okay, gotcha.
Right. So, talking about the 5-4 hand, it ended up being a 3-way all-in. Mm-hmm. And between the three of us, the other two players had ace-king. So according to all the conspiracy theorists, it was an easy call for me to go all in for $2,000 to $3,000 because I had more equity between the two.
So anyway, they're saying, wait. So the people on the are saying that you put the 3,000 in because you knew that 3 other people each had ace king. That's what the conspiracy people are saying.
The two other players, the one player was all in, and then I think Chris just called the all in, but yeah, because both of them had ace king, the narrative is I called off whatever the amount was with 5-4 because I had more equity than the two of them. That's their narrative.
Well, that's
in all of this. like what I'd like to mention, since like, you know, everyone from what I'm hearing is talking about how supposedly greedy I am.
Mm-hmm.
We ran it twice. We ran the board twice, and we chopped.
Okay.
So in the 3-way all-in pot, what's supposed to happen is all the money goes in the middle. I get half of it, and they get quartered.
Right.
So I should have won half the pot.
Right.
Just because both players are friends of mine,
mm-hmm.
and you know, for the sake of getting to the next hand, and because I don't worship money like a lot of people do.
Me neither.
Like, I just said, look, everyone just everyone pull your chips back and let's go to the next hand.
Oh,
and like literally, like the whole table is like, wait, what? Like, you do realize that you're supposed to be winning money here.
Oh, so
like, I don't even care.
You're supposed to win like $3,000, and you just gave them their money back. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm supposed to get half the pot, and I think what my
I'm sorry, you're supposed to win $1,500.
Like, I should have won I should have won somewhere 15.
Yeah, 1,500 wouldn't change.
Somewhere around 1,500.
Yeah,
right. And I gave that up.
And do they show that on the screen that you sit there and say, "Let's go to the next hand and you guys take your money back"? Because I mean, that's I
didn't rewatch it, so I don't know.
Right.
But knowing who was at the I know 3 of the people at the table off the top of my head, as far as remembering who was in that game.
Right.
That can vouch for that happening.
Okay. That's fine. That's fair.
So, you know, again, anyone who knows me knows that I am the least greedy person, one of the least greediest persons they've ever met. Like, I buy rounds of drinks, I'll cover tabs, I give people their money back.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times there's a lot of players that will vouch for, like, you know, after it's all said and done, if someone got crushed or lost a big hand to me or I sucked out, I literally come up to them and give them money.
Well, but they could also say you do that because you know you're going to win and you had all this information, so you got all this money. So of course you're just going to buy people stuff and not give a shit. Yeah,
and like, unfortunately, like, what shouldn't have been too much to it is now so much to it that, like, it's so overwhelming that I can't think straight. Like, knowing that I need to pour through, like, I literally need to pour through around 10,000 hands to show plenty of clips where I'm losing, punting, making bad calls, making bad folds, whatever it is. Like, there's, like,
so why is there a fucking narrative?
There's hundreds of hands showing that.
Why is there a narrative out there that you've never put a bad chip in, you've never made a wrong decision, and that your win rate is 5 times bigger than pot trippers was, and that it's 1,000,000% impossible? How is this narrative out there? What are they not looking for?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the why,
mm-hmm.
The why is to create a story that gets on freaking SportsCenter, to get tens of thousands of views. Like, apparently I've heard it's getting, like,
wow.
This like, in order for this to be a story, they have to spin a story that leads to obvious guilt.
Well, I don't know your political beliefs, but that's what Trump goes through every day, by the way. They spin a story to make it, stick. So
and from what little I've seen, like, they're doing I know they're doing a damn good job of twisting all my words, all my reactions. Every time I blurt something out, going through, interviews and taking things completely out of text. They are literally like, oh my God, like this whole hat thing. And
yeah, that's what I was just going to ask you. Can you address this hat situation? I mean, this is something that like is really kind of threw me for a real loop. I know that different angles could show different things and different, the way lighting hits or whatever. But have you seen the pictures of the hat thing that's going around?
I have, and honestly, the pictures of the hats are the only thing that I literally have not laughed in however many days it's been, 4 days. It's pretty much, I mean, what's going on is thousands and thousands of people are, looking at every little micro inch of me in the entire area. And it's like, okay, where is he hiding this medieval, device? Is it, is it embedded in his leg or embedded in his crotch?
Yeah. Oh, the crotch. Yeah.
In his
What's
hat?
with the crotch? Tell me what the crotch thing is. They're all going about.
Oh, yeah. I naturally, having my left hand under my crotch.
Okay.
I just naturally sit like that often.
Okay.
Not something I would ever think that I'd have to talk about, but like I do a lot of things.
Somebody said
I do
to
a lot
me
of
that
things with.
somebody says
I
you're
do a
always
lot of
looking
things
at
with
your
my left
crotch. I'm like, what do you mean he's always looking at his crotch? And I'm just like, that's what he's doing. He looks at his crotch. I'm like, so what is he getting cards by looking at his crotch? I don't know.
Oh yeah, as far as me looking down, as far as looking down, a lot of us watch the streams or used to watch the streams on our tablet or phone. Me personally, I am on my phone or tablet, and literally all my friends can vouch for this.
I believe
I'm on my phone more than anyone, and plus it's 2019. Everyone's on electronic devices,
right? So that's the point. That's the thing that people have said to me. They've said he's always looking at his crotch or on a device or his phone. So how is he getting all these soul reads where he's making these great folds and great call? I'm fucking fair. I am not going to fucking hang you to dry if you didn't commit what they're saying that you did. I'm going to remain neutral, and I'm going to give you a fair chance to stick it in their asses if you can. You know what I'm saying? That's just, that's me, and listen, if you're guilty, you have to live with that. I can't make a decision on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I'm going to try and go through as much of this as possible in a short sense.
Yeah.
As far as, why this started, this started because, this literally came about due to, that hatred
of you winning,
turning me into Stones, I guess, they kind of glorified me as being Wonder Boy.
Gotcha.
Like, hey, come, like, it was
come
hey,
play with Mike Postel.
You have to come watch this. Like, you have to watch this stream.
Got you.
And you have to come play here, to come play with me.
Got you.
Honestly, like I didn't like it because I don't like that attention.
Right.
But because I love fun and entertainment, and Stones is a great place to play. I allowed them more or less to buy into that.
Right.
And we kind of sold our own narrative of, I'm I'm the greatest player ever, which obviously isn't true, but that's what I was made out to be.
Gotcha.
And again, because the buy-ins, the initial buy-in is skewed.
Gotcha.
Because when that graphic shows how much is in our stack, in all reality, we have more in our stack. So at the very beginning of the show, it's going to say, oh, our buy-in is, 500 or 1,000. And literally in every instance, the buy-in isn't 500 or 1,000. It's more like 1,500, 2,000, 3,000. It's more in that area.
Gotcha.
And then as we play, so protocol is when a player wants chips are called, player buys chips, and then the dealer on the headpiece is supposed to alert, whoever on the other side to mark down however much they're rebuying for. Like, hey, seat 6 is rebuying 2,000, for example. That's supposed to be put onto, the current win-loss stats. So during the course of the stream, you can you type like !win or something. It'll show, it's supposed to show how much everyone is either up or down.
Gotcha.
And the thing is that people don't realize that is literally always wrong. And I'm not saying it's always completely wrong, where it's like the actual numbers are way off, but it is wrong all the time, and sometimes for considerable amounts. And players who play in that game and have watched the stream, they will absolutely confirm how far off that stat is. So more to that, as we play, when these rebuys take place, not every dealer catches it. Sometimes someone will come over with chips, and the dealers don't always see it. I can't give a number as to how many get, recorded to the back or recorded to, the actual amount, but there's a good percentage of them that don't get attributed to, the player in that, the player's correct stack or their correct total buy-in. There's rebuys missing often in every single stream because the dealers don't always record it back there. But along with that, a lot of us keep chips in our pockets or backpack or whatever. We have chips, and we literally just pull them out of our pockets or pull them out from wherever they're at, and we just throw them we just put the chips into our stack.
Gotcha.
I often have a stack of green and some white chips in my pocket, depending on the game, and I'll just bring chips out to reload to match the biggest stack as we go. Those, things of that nature, those aren't recorded.
Well, those, that's easy to explain away, and that's fine. And you know what? Now, there was one of my close friends that texted me about a hand in which a guy raised you 60% of his stack, and then you re-raised them all in with 9-6 high. And how could you know he's going to fold when he already put 60% of his stack in, unless you knew what his cards were?
I do not know what hand they're talking about offhand. I mean, I'd need to see it.
Right.
But
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
There are countless numbers of variables that the majority of people refuse to consider, and that mainly pertains to a lot of the regulars. Like we play together a lot, and the more time that it's gone by, like we've all gotten to know each other better as far as our style of play and picking up on everything that we pick up on.
Well, yeah, if you're truly innocent and you're on my show right now saying I'm innocent, You got. I mean, you're gonna just have it. You have to show that it's so fucked up because in this world, it's always if you're guilty in the eye of public opinion, then no matter what comes up, you're guilty. So, like they're saying now, with 1,000% that you cheated. Now, you do understand that every single person that went out there and said you 1,000% cheated, okay, and you can prove to them that you didn't, I mean, you could sue every one of them for millions and millions of dollars of slandering you. So you told me earlier, I'm innocent of this. I mean, you're innocent, right? That's what you're claiming.
Absolutely.
At 1,000% innocent, correct?
10,000%.
There you go. So
can I go 100,000%?
100,000% he's innocent. Now,
is that
there
good?
you go. That's his word. And this is why I tell people to be objective to the situation. You know, I'm not, listen, I am completely neutral. I take no side in this. You know, you say 1,000,000% you're innocent of this. And so you're going to dig through things and you're going to, I pray, I mean that from the bottom of my heart, that you're able to stick it to everybody and show your innocence. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
There's going to be, no matter what happens, because once a narrative gets out, no matter how much you prove your innocence, people are going to say you're guilty no matter what. You understand that? But it's very, it's very important that you go out and, you know, not only is your name and your reputation on the line, but the reputation of poker streams is really on the line here. And if they come across and they show 1,000% proof, like they're all saying that you cheated, now everybody who's ever played on a stream is going to claim they all got cheated, and it's going to cause a disastrous effect for the poker community. You know, and this is why I wanted to have you on the show to you know, claim your innocence and to be objective on a lot of these hands, and for people to know who you are and what kind of person you are and how you play. That's why I asked you your style of playing a lot, and I asked you a lot of these questions. I just always believe, you know, give the guy a fair chance to explain himself. And I think you've done that somewhat well tonight, especially for a guy who hasn't slept in a day and a half.
Who would prefer to be doing this while I can at least somewhat function a little bit better. Like just jumping, I'm jumping all over the place, and like there's so many things that I haven't even gotten to. Like right. In, you know, we've been talking for over an hour now, wow. And like I feel like I've only touched on half of the things that need to be talked about.
The Mouthpiece.
I hope you enjoyed part 1 of our exclusive interview with Mike Postel. Tune in tomorrow for part 2 of this exclusive interview. Have a good night, everyone.
The Mouthpiece.